just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Pack Her Up, boys. And as always, if it's been a long week, just pack her up, put it in the mind, open it back up on Monday. Don't stress yourself out with things that happen during the week. Enjoy the weekend with your family, with your friends. You've earned it. You've earned it. Life's too short to be worrying about what happened at work during the week. Also, like and subscribe on YouTube. We've actually, a lot of people have been subscribing and liking and all that kind of stuff. So thank you so much for that. Really do appreciate it. I think we were at 47.8 or something like that subscribers last week. Now we're up to 48.1K on YouTube. So really do appreciate that. Also, a lot of Apple and Spotify reviews. Thank you so much for that, guys. It really does help it. So yeah, if you can, leave a positive review. We'd really appreciate that on Apple, Spotify. And also like and subscribe on YouTube. And don't forget, Beaks Bag each week. Go to the Monday show, leave your question for Beaks Bag. And then each week we select one question and we give a $50 gift voucher to that selection of a question. And also, we shot content earlier this week. Something is coming very soon, guys. I'm so excited for you guys to see it. I really hope you like it. Put a lot of time and effort into it. And also, obviously, if you don't like it, that's cool too. But I hope that you like it. That's coming very, very soon. Next few weeks, it's coming. And, we'll be trying to do a lot of content around it as well. So, yeah, look out for that. But the big fella, he's back from America. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, mate, I'm back. It was good getting some San Diego sunshine. I've gone from Bloke FC to Bloat FC in 1 week. I got that beautiful shade of Reece Walsh.
Mate.
But, no, it was good. It's always good to get over there.
And so
over there
went
too.
over there for Air Locker?
Yeah, went over there. I was actually at a hypoxic conference with the scientists and the professors. So
and hypoxia is
low oxygen.
Yep.
So that's what we do with altitude training.
You got to bring down the language around us. It's pack her up, boys, mate.
Got my science hat on, but no, it was cool to mix it up. These are like the goats of their space, and they're doing crazy shit. Like I'm here trying to do my best with fat loss and muscle gain, but these guys are using altitude training and hypoxia for like paraplegics and all this stuff.
Really?
So it's crazy shit.
Wow.
It was really cool. Just to put yourself in that conversation.
Is there all that stuff that you just suggested in regards to, things outside of fat loss, is the implication that restricting blood cells has beneficial effects outside of just being a bit fitter?
Yeah, so basically the other thing that I learned in terms of paraplegics, you think they've severed their spinal cord, but it's not dead. It's not completely out of the realm that something good could happen or something there could be a connection. So intermittently they'll put you into real low oxygen and then bring you out. And basically there's this thing that is produced, which is BDNF, brain-derived neurological factor, and then it actually sparks up. I watched this guy explain it and then show a video, 20% improvement in the walking ability of a paraplegic. It was wild, bro.
So, when you restrict oxygen, it increases the blood cells, and therefore that has a beneficial effect too.
So what I do is, over a 10, 15, 20-minute period, I trigger something called HIF1, which is this little gene expression where, so your cell's got less oxygen, what's it going to do? Has to adapt, has to respond. This is where we get all these benefits. But what they do is they only do it for a short amount of time, and it only taps into the neurological benefits. So everything fires, your nervous system, your neural pathways, and they're doing work with like I said, paraplegics and stuff. So it's wild. Yeah. It's really special. I mean, what we do is we've taken the commercial route and we're in the gym space, and it's a mad workout and having some great benefits. But to see the effect it's having on that level, it was pretty cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is actually.
And you know
crazy.
what it's like, bro. You've been around anything that you're interested in. I'm not a scientist or a professor, but when you're passionate about it, you soak it all in, you consume it, you sort of understand it. So it's just fucking cool to be around it.
Being around other people that are also passionate
and being
about
the dumbest in the room. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Far out. That's sick. It's almost like 10 years ago when they started finding out a lot about fasting and all the benefits of it. It's just it's crazy to think something for example, fasting, when you actually read what it can do, it suits what we would have been going through for hundreds of thousands of years as humans. You wouldn't have been eating you'd have food for a week, then you'd have to go out and hunt. So you probably don't eat for 48 hours or something like that. It's just the science.
Well, you know what everything comes back to, bro, and I've learned, and I like the mental health application because what you're going into is a stress, like the ice bath, like the sauna that everyone knows. But we're in a day and age where it's okay, if you've got a problem, what's the magic pill? What's the Band-Aid? What's the prescription we can give you?
Yeah.
But it's I could give you more oxygen,
Yeah.
Or I could give you less and have your body have to adapt and figure it out.
Yeah.
And like you said, fasting, we're not supposed to have an abundance of food. We're not supposed to be able to go to Macca's and buy something at our will. The way we've been designed our whole life is we have to struggle. We have to find food. We have to starve a little bit. But we've taken away all those things. So the body's powerful, but we live in a world of comfort.
Yeah, man, and I kind of love it, to be honest. That's why sugar tastes so nice, because sugar is actually not vital for you, but you need it. And so,
need glucose,
so that's why it tastes so nice, because it used to be so rare. So your body would, when it found it, would be like, you need to get this into your system. The problem is now the rarity is gone, and our body still has the same evolutionary attraction to it.
And you know what's wild? But most of the fruit and veggies we eat, like, they're not native. Like they've been genetically made to increase. Like you said, finding fruit, finding honey back in the day would have been fucking a party.
Yeah, far out. That's crazy. It's bizarre how it's almost gone like full 180, where we went through a whole stage of like, here's a pill, fix it, to, well, it's almost the old adage of, you can give a man a fish to eat for the day, or you can teach him to fish. And it's kind of like teaching your body to fish.
100%.
So that you actually come back. It's a longer term, it's going to take longer. It's going to be harder, but it actually is better for you in the long term.
But you know what? Fuck all that. Buy a case of bloke and put your feet up.
Hey, you got to rest. You got to have the mental as well. You got to rest when you can.
Monday to Friday.
Matty, how you going, bro?
Geez, that's going to be a tough one to follow, Sandor. That was I definitely haven't been spending my week doing anything like that. It's just it's kind of like a childlike reminder that there's just so much in this world that no one knows about, and people are trying to solve and fix every day. Like that stuff is just super interesting.
I'll tell you what it highlights. These guys, these scientists, professors, they dedicate their life to like one little thing.
Yeah, very specialised. Yeah.
Out of all that shit I could mention, 50, one thing, and 25 years and they're an expert in it. It's like, wow.
When you hear, like, you know, we idolize celebrities, but in reality, we should be idolizing the scientists that have progressed humankind. Like, think of how intelligent you've got to be to have discovered some of the stuff that has been discovered throughout human history, and yet we idolize someone that's been like on a reality TV show or something. It's very weird.
And they're so funny, but they love, like, I speak very passionately and energetically, and they're like, I love this, but they're like, you could sell ice to Eskimos, like, prove it to us. They're just data. It's black or white. If you don't have the study, it's like, it's a nice story.
And then when you're speaking to scientists, if you say like, oh, I reckon, you know, here's a bunch of evidence and I reckon this is true. For most people, like, oh, well, it's for sure true. Like, look at all the evidence you have. They'd be like, yeah, but we need more than just all evidence. It needs to be peer reviewed. It's like,
bruh.
they
These cats
speak.
hate social media.
Yeah, because it's all pretty much, a lot of it's just misinformation or half truths.
Yeah.
People that are like know enough to sound like they know something about something, but they actually don't know enough to know they don't know at shit like anything. Yeah, okay. Well, Matty, why didn't you go to more more conferences in regards to?
Well, I had a job to do. You wouldn't let me. You wouldn't let me get out of here.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. I tell you what was fucking wigged me out this morning. I woke up, got on YouTube, and apparently there's been like big political YouTubers like taking money from Russia to spread Russian propaganda. Yeah.
What?
Like this dude by the name of Tin Pool, who's like a YouTube, I guess. His topics that he speaks about is like politics or whatever. I'm not a consumer of his content or whatever, but it just shows you like there's so much information out there that you just don't know anymore whether it's propaganda or not. Like, is this being fed from a enemy state or a foreign state? And these guys this guy Tim Pool, and it's all alleged and all that, but like he is a relatively mainstream political pundit or whatever. And like to think that that's how far the infiltration has gone, just crazy, bro. Fucking
Even
mental.
like Meta and Facebook have had to come out and admit some of their faults around
all
things
the
that were done
bots
around
and that.
COVID.
Oh
and all
my
this shit. Like, bro,
God.
it's wild.
It is crazy, and like you don't know whether, like, there's documentaries out now
It's
where
a bit sad, Hey, you can't. But you don't know.
you don't know what's true anymore.
No.
You don't know. Now AI's coming just full steam ahead, where like it looks like someone like the the president's talking about something, and AI has generated the whole thing, and you just
Right, it's wild.
imagine in
I
50
watched a
years.
video the other day on Instagram of a 7-year-old kid with this new AI website that it codes for you just from prompts, and she made an app, and she was just screen recording herself.
Bro.
Like, holy shit!
Yeah, imagine the next generation of kids that know code and
Bro, I
all
was
that.
playing backyard cricket at 7. Like these kids are coding, making apps.
And that's a weird thing, like being a father, it's like, oh, you know, a lot of people will go, you know, make sure your kids are off social media, make sure that they're, you know, but it's like then your kid might get left behind though. Like if you go, all right, no phones, no computers or anything like that, it's like, well, the kids are getting so good. For example, and this is just a silly example, but like a kid that's used TikTok and a kid that hasn't, this kid that's used a lot of TikTok, she or he knows how to video edit. She knows how to, you know, engage with people. Like there are skill sets being learned, even though it sounds silly, that you may be getting left behind. Like how many people, you know, 20 years ago we're getting told this computer thing, it's a big thing. If you learn your skill set early on, it'll be hugely beneficial for your career. And they say, nah, I'm old school. Then they get left behind.
Well, I'd be saying, give them the tech, give them the tablet, the computer. But what are they doing on there?
Yeah.
Are they sitting there watching these mindless YouTube videos, or like, are they coding at 7?
I wonder what's like everything so far for
I'm
me.
seeing your son just coding.
Just in there coding.
He just coded the bloke app.
I wonder what's going to be the thing, because like I'm all pretty understanding of every generation that's come before me, where I've been like, yeah, I can get it, like the new fad or whatever, like, you know, TikTok, yeah, I get it, like I might not watch it or whatever, or Twitch and streaming, and I wonder where's going to be the point where I become the old person.
Bro,
and
I was
say,
just going to say that.
Yeah.
I low key, when you said that, I think I have a little bit of a fear of like, when do you get to that point where like I just don't know the shit that's going on?
I just
I'm out of
don't
the
get
loop,
it,
and
yeah.
I'm the older generation.
Yeah, like because like,
Surely not yet.
there's things like my dad just doesn't get.
No way.
And so when does that point arrive for me where
Not
I'm
yet.
like, I just don't get it? Because I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on technology. So what a strange feeling to get to a point where you go, I don't understand what's happening right now. It's just, that's so weird.
It's crazy. And obviously like, I've got a grasp on it as well, but even just small things like the Gen Z vocabulary, like I got no idea what they're talking about sometimes.
Yeah.
Like that's the first step, I think.
Vocabulary. But just like even you know, you give your phone to your old man or whatever, and they're like, oh,
got no
what do you
clue.
do here? And can you set up WhatsApp for me here and that? Like, what happens when you get to that point? You know?
When that trigger moment happens, yeah, it's a sad moment.
Just craziness. What else has been going on, boys? Anything else?
Oh,
We were just watching the
NFL's back?
The NFL,
Yeah.
mate. It's a different world over there.
it's a
Those
lazy
stadiums.
100-inch TV here at Bloke HQ.
Oh, it's a good one.
It's a bloody good TV, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Tell you
So's
that.
that beanbag.
Mate, the
beanbag's
beanbag.
It's not a beanbag. Beanbag doesn't do it justice.
It's a
love sack?
I think it's a love sack. It
Yeah.
costs like $4.50 or something like that when we first got it.
cracker.
Mate, you get in that, you're very hard to get out of
See
it.
you later.
Very hard to get out of it. But yeah, NFL's returned. I think I'm going to try as hard as I can maybe to get into maybe a NFL. I'm definitely going to try harder to get into cricket this off season. But I'm going to try a little bit to get to know NFL just a little bit.
Yeah, I'm doing my absolute best. That's why I had it on before, but it's just different over there. Like it was one random game. The stadium, I can't even describe what the stadium looks like. It's just full
friggin'
sea of red.
crazy.
It's sick.
Crazy. Jeez, they do it well. And they've just got it.
They kill it.
Funny enough, I was speaking to Andrew Webster, a journo, and he was saying over in America, like you'd be actually surprised how much bigger the NFL is than NBA. Like, whereas, I don't know, as an Aussie, I just see NBA and NFL as almost the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And they're
do,
like,
yeah.
nah, NFL's way
The
big. Like,
NBA is just easier to track for me because what do you got? A roster of 14? Whereas NFL, like, right, you're signing up for your team and you got 60 players.
yeah.
It's
And you
wild.
don't know what they look like half the time. They're wearing a helmet.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's
Speaking
true.
of cricket, shout out to Chrissy Lynn. He just won the comp over in Toronto. I think he was over there.
Oh, nice.
did he?
Yeah,
Shout
cheeky
out.
Mad Monday with Fisher as well. That lined up beautifully.
That would have been.
Wait, what about Fisher bought a friggin' complex on the Gold Coast or something
Yeah,
like that?
I've seen that.
Oh, really?
Bro, what an incredible story his is. Like,
So
what
good.
an incredible... Like, you could make... Because think about the stuff that
Got to be a little doco, surely on way.
I reckon a movie.
100%.
Think about his life. Like, think about what he would have seen, the people he would have hung out with, the ups and downs that we wouldn't be aware of. Like, because he was a genuine fisherman, wasn't
Yeah.
he? Like,
No,
that was his
surfer.
hobby. Surfer.
Yeah,
Wasn't his
I don't
hobby?
want- yeah, want to be careful about telling his story, but the little pockets of information I've heard, obviously, who's the DJ? Chris something. But, I think he got into it because Chris Lake, I think it is, cracker DJ, but Fisher's presence and personality is off the charts.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
think he was the man. Yeah, he was the man as a surfer, and then got into DJing. It was like, I think it's transformed with Chris Lake providing a bit of the music. DJ Fisher was the front man, and then look where he is now. Bro.
So they're a team.
Yeah, well, Chris Lake does the music. I don't know if that happens now, but at the start, it was like, but Fisher's the ultimate front man. Like, his presence, I've watched him a few times live. He's just larger than life.
Yeah, he's such a good example of it factor.
Yeah.
You can't really explain. Like, put it this way. If someone described Fisher to you, you could make the argument, that sounds annoying. Like, strange laugh, high energy, in your face. But that's the thing about Fish is, like, he has this intangible quality that you can't measure. Yeah. Like, he's just got the it factor. He's just got the it factor.
Well, my first not interaction. Like when I first noticed Fisher, it wasn't his music. It was a story he was telling about how he missed a flight, and it was one of the funniest things I ever seen.
Yeah.
And then from there, that's how I learned.
Those people you come across every now and again when they tell a story, you're just like
locked in.
He's just so good.
Matty Johns, Brian Fletcher.
Good examples. Yeah,
unbelievable storytellers.
Chris Lake and they're on some surf pro tour together, and they started DJing
I thought
together.
he had a hobby as a fisherman for some reason. I don't know why I thought that. Maybe it's like the urban myth that gets spread around. Wasn't even true.
It's in the name.
The first thing I ever heard of him was the Losing It track, but before it come out, and I remember watching a video on his Instagram. Like, I'd been told by a mate, like, you should check out this Fish guy. He just makes cool videos, and I just kind of ignored it. I didn't really follow it up. And then I just come through my Instagram of the Losing It before it had been released, and I was like, that is the fucking so basically what it was a video of the drop, and he was at a festival, and like the energy that when the song "Losing It" first came out, like you couldn't escape it. The energy that it was unrivaled energy, and I just thought that is the coolest shit ever. And then obviously, ever since then, like what an incredible story,
life though, bro. Like
crazy.
I mean, there's no doubt he'd go through the ups and downs
for sure, as always.
Life, bro, going to cracker locations and you've got 100,000 people just all pumping, looking at you for the energy. Like, fuck, that'd be cool. That high would be. Like,
and also,
else.
you're always in festivals where it's usually a feeling of like love and happiness. Like being around that all the time would be pretty hectic. Be very hard not to get caught up in.
Yeah.
Imagine how easy it would be to get caught on and go off the rails on that shit. Like, be fucking crazy. So, I think he bought like a complex or something like that on the Goldie. Unbelievable.
Yeah, right. Did you remember last year when I think he shared a screenshot of Cam Munster tried to get him to DJ's wedding, and it was on New Year's Eve, and he's like, "What the fuck? I'm not DJing a wedding on New Year's Eve."
Oh,
I remember he was trying so hard. The year he won the comp with the Storm, which he was trying so hard because he's probably the one person out of all of our group that has the best connection with Fisher.
Yeah.
He was trying so hard to get him, and then the Richmond boys got him into the Mad Monday.
Oh, really?
Dusty was good mates.
Oh, damn. So it must have been my mates.
Yeah.
Is that?
And then he was going to come to the Origin because all the boys had a big house in Byron after the Origin. And then the chat, I actually went back to Byron with Scope.
Yeah.
And we were just hoping, like, come on, surely. We'd wait for this Fisher after party. But he never came. It was still a good few days in Byron, but yeah.
What an incredible life. Imagine him thinking back to 10 years ago and just normal bloke, whatever. Now he's worldwide.
Crazy.
That text was funny, though, when he dropped it like, no, mate, I'm not going to do your wedding.
I just did H-A like a million times in capital letters.
He's probably got $1 million show booked lined up for New Year's.
Yeah, $1 million appearance for 30 minutes. And fucking Munster's asking him to do it. That is great.
The video is, and I'll put it in the notes, everyone please watch it. It's only got 150k views. It's so funny. Fisher crashes boat, swims with sharks, crocs for his life, surf stories. It is one of the funniest 10-minute yarns you'll ever see.
Mad. Alrighty, guys, don't forget, Sportsbet. Massive thank you to our friends at Sportsbet, partner of the show. The Bloke Multi this week is people to succeed against their former club. So we've got Galvin anytime because he's playing the Eels, obviously. We got Angus Crichton anytime try scorer, and Dolphins. So Wayne Bennett to beat the Knights, and that's going to get you $18. $18 multi. So that is on the Sportsbet feed. Go to my feed, give us a follow. As always, guys, very appreciative. We're up to 17.3 thousand followers on Sportsbet feed. Absolute legends. Thank you so much. And yeah, you can copy that bet. As always, guys, gamble responsibly, please. You lose, you definitely lose more than you win. So please gamble responsibly. We don't want you to go on crazy.
It can be on Sportsbet. Forgive my ignorance. Whatever happened to the battle with the Nepo baby?
Oh,
Did we win that
yeah.
Did we win that battle?
Look, the Nepo baby.
Did we get a win there?
Look, in all honesty, the Nepo baby's doing really well, which we love to see. Look,
Yes.
it's all jokes. His podcast is going great. He seems like a relatively nice guy that's doing really well. His Instagram's going. He's exploding. He's going well. However, he's being completely fucking dominated on the feed. So the Sportsbet, they try to put the money behind him, but the people spoke. The people spoke. Initially, when Sportsbet were just funneling money behind him, just get behind Dan Orange, get behind the Orange, just funneling money. He was a couple thousand behind me. And then once Sportsbet, like the amount of cash they put behind him, they clearly ran out of it. And once they stopped pushing him, he's about 4,000 or 5,000 behind now. So that's unfortunate for Dan Orange. But all jokes aside, his podcast is killing. It's going awesome. But what is not a joke is the fact he's still ages behind us. So the people have spoken. Thank you. Rugby league community has officially won 2024. But we can't rest on our laurels. We must continue to beat the AFL.
We must continue.
But yeah, at the moment, since he laid down the challenge at the start of the year, NRL has defeated AFL on the feed. And that's official numbers. That's official numbers because the season's ended for both. So thank you.
Yep,
thank
beautiful.
you. And good luck next year, Dan Orange. Alrighty, let's get into it. Storm defeat the Broncos 50-12. An absolute shellacking. We'll get the Broncos stuff out of the way quickly because we've already said what we've had to say on that. Extremely disappointing. They played basically the way their season's been. Their defense is not good. Defense hasn't been good all year. I think we've already kind of said, unless you feel there's more to add, but I've already really said what I've had to say about the Broncos this year.
Nah, not really. They were missing half their team, but it's
it
no
still
excuse.
wasn't good enough.
It wasn't good enough.
The defense was terrible.
What are the big shifts in 25, Kempy?
Defense. Better attitude. And even little things Tristan Sailor once again kicking on the second tackle at the start of the game, kicking on the second tackle at the end of the game. Just all little things like that. As I said, we've been through it ad nauseum. You guys know how I feel about it. I feel that the first 10 rounds will be a really good measurement of where they're at next year. If after the first 10 rounds we are struggling, then big decisions need to be made across the board, everywhere.
And there's every reason why they will turn it around next year.
I think they will.
100%.
I think that a club with the resources the Broncos have, it would be crazy if they can't turn that around. Knowing that they've still got a relatively good roster.
Yep.
And look, yes, a key obviously is keeping Adam Reynolds on the field. If Adam Reynolds continues to struggle with injury, then obviously you need to look at, can his body hold up to scrutiny for the next year or two? If it can't, then a tough decision has to be made.
What's he got to be? 33, 30? Well, I'm 30.
Yeah.
I'm turning 35. So.
And granted, up until this year, Reynolds has actually had a relatively... I know he almost has a reputation of always being injured, but you actually look at his stats and it's not the case.
Yeah.
This year has just been one of the years it's been. So the tough thing for Renault is you don't know whether it's just been an unlucky year where he's been injured or it's his age that's catching up. So you don't know. Anyone that says it's definitely his age, it's you don't know that because he's never had a year like this before.
He's 34.
He's 34.
Yeah,
So
and I don't think you solve these issues. Similar, it kind of reminds me of Pappenhausen. Until he needs an uninterrupted off season, a crack at preseason, and then maybe that's the difference that sets him up for a good year. But yeah, the age thing is definitely going to be a factor.
Just on Reynolds, and this is backing up your point, I've always found it quite ridiculous that people have called him injury prone because if you look at his years, he had 2 years where he did get injured a little bit, and that was in 2015, 2016, but I'm going to read out how many games he's played each year. 27, 26, 26. Now, these were the 2 years, 18, 16. Then 21, 24, 25, 23, 25, 20, 23. And now 13.
13. That's what I mean. So, and look, I know there are some Broncos fans that then go, see, that's the reason why we had a poor year. No, that's the reason why we didn't have a great year. If you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
The reason we had a poor year is because we didn't sort our defence out. The people that we bring in, they may not be Adam Reynolds that can take us to a grand final, but they should at least be able to defend relatively well. And so, anyway, as I said, the first 10 rounds will be a good... I think that there's definitely pressure on everyone. I think that there shouldn't be pressure on anyone this off-season because if there's there is a chance that, you know what, it just happened to be that there were so many injuries that's why this year went poorly. But that's how we'll know next year at around round 10, wherever we're at on the table, we'll give you a good kind of representation of like, okay, big decisions need to be made or don't. Now,
I think the unfortunate highlight from this season is, and we touched on this, is going from grand final to not in the 8. Like that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't. If we put it this way, if we went from grand final to 6 to 8 this year, then I would agree with you. Like, okay, injuries. That's when I can cop the injuries and stuff like that. But it's the fact that we went from grand final to not in the 8, and also look at the back end of the year. Like it's not just the fact that we're not in the 8. Look how that we played.
It's night and day.
You know, we weren't losing games by 2 points or whatever. We were getting touched up, and also like defensively, we were leaking like 20 points, 24 points, 18 points. And Kevy did, say that in the press conference, like they didn't hit their targets defensively. And so if, Broncos off season, it all just needs to be an offense and defense. If anyone has an issue with that, then they shouldn't be a part of the squad. Yeah. They should all be bought in.
Well, they were markers last year. You could argue they were the best defensive team of the comp last year. Now, Penrith did concede the least points, but in certain stat areas, Brisbane were pretty much close to the best defensive team last year. The drop-off in defence has been crazy.
It's crazy. It's been crazy.
If you don't think the best teams are focusing solely and prioritising defence, you're kidding yourself.
Yeah. So, as I said, like, the reason, like, if we were to come 6 to 8, then I could go, yeah, we've had a lot of injuries. That's why we didn't finish in the top 4. Yeah. But the way we've kind of bowed out, that's just been a really poor end to the season.
Yeah,
I think
regardless of the injuries, the standards, you don't get beat by 50 points.
50 points. And then the week before by 40 to 6 or whatever it was?
Doesn't happen.
Like, come on. You're lying to yourself if you just say there's not problems there.
Well, touched up by the Dogs, touched up by the Titans.
Beaten by the Sharks as well earlier in the year. Like, so... it is what it is. It's been a tough year. And yes, injuries have played a factor. And yes, the Broncos were in a grand final last year. However, the Broncos never used to be a club that said, oh, yeah, but we're in a grand final last year. That's when you know would you ever hear Bellyache say, we're in a grand final last year? Would you ever hear the top tier clubs say, oh, yeah, but we're in a grand final last year?
Yeah, I thought that was a great reflection from you. Like, the Broncos that we know, certainly that you know, it's premiership or nothing. Well, that's the attitude. That's
that should be the attitude.
Expectation.
Or at the very least, like, top 4 is the goal, is the aim. And so, look, I understand why, Broncos, and I understand to a degree why players say, oh, yeah, but we're in a grand final last year. But at the end of the day, like, this is a ruthless competition. And if you start saying, oh, well, we're in a grand final last year, it's like, that's actually an argument against it. That means you should be in the top 8. That means that you're a bloody good side when you fully commit to defence. It's just one of those things. I think the boys will bounce back. I really want Kevy to. I really want the whole squad to. Really good young bunch of blokes. But I do think after 10 rounds, if we're sitting, outside the 8, unfortunately, some really tough decisions have to be made.
It feels like a change of the guard. Like, I don't know how you feel. Like, no one has a better understanding than you across the network and the teams. But like, Broncos just used to have those players that were like, just had such a big presence. They're like arguably goats of the team. It just doesn't seem like they have that anymore. Those key players.
Yeah. Well, you got your Paddy, you've got Haas. You got Paddy and Haas. I think a big Achilles heel for this year, if you take out obviously the injury to Adam Reynolds and Reece Walsh, was our edge back rowers didn't kick on the way I thought that they probably should have. And I think the Broncos were expecting our edge back rowers to take that next step up. Granted, like, Marin is in his debut year. Ricky is, he's in his 4th or 5th year. Piacora's in his debut year. But I just think the Broncos were hoping by allowing Capewell to leave that Ricky would take a step up in leadership and Piacora would probably have a more consistent year than he did. And unfortunately, our edge back rowers probably didn't have the best year. I think Ricky started the year pretty well, but he really fell off two ways. And I think that's an area where, we need to recruit potentially an older head, and also we need to recruit in the middle a little bit more, which they are. I don't think Tapaua is getting re-signed next year. Jensen had a relatively solid year. Paddy's first 3 quarters of the year was really good. Last month was a bit lackluster. Haas, always good, but he's been injured. But it's all just about defence, because you look across the lake, you look at the Bulldogs, you look at the Dolphins, like they've all had injuries as well.
And I think it comes back, as you said, we touched on this with the Storm, I'm sure we will, but it goes back to the system. Like, why do guys come into the Storm and they excel and they play a role and they're a wheel in the cog? Kind of need to get back to that for the Broncos.
Well, look at the Storm. Like, they've had key injuries, like, all year long, smashed with injuries, and they've just managed to make it work. Like,
and look at them. They lose Kenny Bromwich, Kaufusi, and look what happens.
Yeah, so it is what it is. It's really disappointing year, but I hope they turn it around. However, onto the Storm. Talk about positives. Holy.
Wow.
I really think we're starting to see when Bellyache and the team at Storm were sitting down and going, how are we going to traverse the post-Cameron Smith era? And I think that Bellyache looked at the current roster that he had and the people that are available and said, this is a style of footy I need to play that is actually quite different to what came before me, because Harry Grant is not Cameron Smith and Hughes is not Cooper Cronk. And I think that we are finally seeing Bellyache's vision come to fruition with the style of rugby league they're playing. They are really understanding what suits them as their ability to just attack from anywhere at any time, any second. Last night was incredible.
I think it's so underrated, his ability over the years, if you look at his tenure, to be able to adapt to the different style of gameplay, different players. We see Bellamy and we think like hard head, hard coach, but behind the scenes, his ability to adapt and transform the style and play of football is fucking unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. Like, Harry Grant couldn't be more different from Cameron Smith. Jerome Hughes couldn't, literally on the opposite end of the scale of Cooper Cronk when it comes to style of players.
And he's a freaking fullback.
He's a fullback.
Yeah.
And so you've got these two guys. You've got Harry Grant, who is mainly a running hooker, whereas Cameron Smith was the most crafty hooker we've ever seen. And so it's just incredible that we're finally seeing it. They look red hot. They've got a minor premiership. Hughes, I say this now, if Hughes doesn't win the Dally M,
he's got to win it.
Shut it down.
He's got to win it.
We honestly, and I'm not even joking when I say this, if he doesn't win the Dally M, we should genuinely look at the system and how to improve it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
1000%.
Because last year, although I felt SJ was the best player of the whole season, I can understand how KP won it. Those last 10 games were so hectic where you just go, okay, I get it to a degree. This year, no one has come close to Hughes this year. Tell me a single player that's played as consistently as good as Hughes. Now, Teddy is probably the closest runner. Teddy's been good this year, but he hasn't been close
It's
to
not
Hughes.
even close.
Not even close
It's
to
not
Hughes.
close.
He's been a standout in most of the games.
He's
not all.
He led the Storm with massive injury toll to a minor premiership 3 rounds before the season finished.
Yeah.
And he was their best player in nearly every single game. And so genuinely, if Hughes doesn't win the Dally M, we have to look at the system and go, we need to find a way to make it a fairer representation of who has been the best player across the whole season. Because, as I said, Teddy has been good. He's been good. But he hasn't been anywhere near Hughes this year, in my opinion. He just hasn't. And so, put it this way, so the Roosters, what are they, sitting third or fourth
They're
or whatever?
third.
How could the fullback of a team sitting third have as good as year as... So let's say you've had Teddy, the best player at the Roosters, and Hughes is the best player. Well, Hughes is the best player of the best team in the competition that's winning the minor premiership.
And as you said, he put Storm on his back through a tough period.
Oh, massive. And so, not to discredit Teddy at all. It's been a bloody good year, and it's shown why he's such a champion. Everyone counted him out, and he's bounced back, and he's had a bloody good year, but Hughes has been head and shoulders above everyone else. And that's why another conversation I want to have. I think if he wins a Dally M and they win the comp, conversations need to start to be had around Hughes as where he stands in regards to the greatest Kiwis to ever play the game. It doesn't get talked about enough, the fact that he's a Kiwi. People forget, don't get me wrong, SJ, Stacey Jones, your Ruben Wickies, your Simon, all that, Simon Manning's, they are incredible. And they should, I'm not suggesting at this moment Hughes is better than them, but if he was to win another comp, he's got multiple minor premierships. That's 2 premierships that he's won at 7, and also a Dally M. That's arguably a better resume than any Kiwis in the history of the game.
100%.
It's a fair point. I immediately comes to mind Stacey Jones, Benji Marshall. But you're right. I know accolades aren't the be all and end all. Joey won 2 comps. I consider him the greatest, but it definitely should be more of a thought than it is.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not spoken about.
It's not spoken about
way
at all.
under the radar.
It's way under the radar. Again, I'm not suggesting it's there now. Like we should be going, Hughes is already better than SJ. What I'm saying is this guy is on the trajectory to be one of the greatest Kiwi players to ever play the game, and it doesn't get spoken about. If he does this at the end of this year, and it's a huge if, we've got so long to go, but he's already the favourite for the Dally M, the conversation should start.
I think the Daily M will be a real trigger for him because he does go under the radar. He is so humble. For a man that's so flashy and does such amazing work on the field, he does kind of he just gets his job done. He just goes about his work.
Bro, he was the
Daily M
halfback.
might be the trigger.
He was the halfback that beat Australia by the record margin. We don't even talk about it.
Yep.
Like, he was the guy. He's the main guy, number 7. Like, for me, we need to start talking about Jerome Hughes, if he does to do it, as one of the greatest Kiwis of all time.
Yeah, I love that, bro.
We need to, because
100%.
he's flown under the radar because he plays for Melbourne and out of sight, out of mind. But his resume is unbelievable. He's got a
Deserves his
premiership.
props.
In his first full year as 7, he won a premiership. 2020, he beat the Panthers, who were on one of the greatest runs, runs we've ever seen. So he won a minor premiership in that time too. Now it's 2 minor premierships already as a 7. Record margin beat Australia. Might win a Dally M. Most likely will win a Dally M. And also is currently the favourite to win the premiership this year as well. Like, that's a crazy resume.
And someone's got to tell his story. He's actually got an epic story. His first few years coming into the Storm system, like he was, I don't know if you noticed, we kind of take the piss out of him, but he was riddled with lower back injuries, like really struggled for that first 2 years. Did a big tenure in the Queensland Cup. And then when he got his chance in his moment, fuck, boy, did he take it.
Oh, unbelievable. And like, he's a great story for young kids coming through that everyone's journey is different. Just because you didn't come on the scene as an 18-year-old and kill it doesn't mean you can't potentially win a friggin' Dally M.
And a cracker fullback that is going to win, is on the trajectory to win Dally M halfback.
Insane.
Insane.
In his, fourth year as a halfback? Fourth or fifth, fourth year as a halfback,
Yeah.
fifth year as a halfback, and he may win a Dally M. It's an incredible story. And Hughes, even though people are starting to see how good he is, they still don't get enough appreciation. He's the 7 that beat Australia by a record margin. That's insane.
Even last night, he's doing shit that's not a traditional 7. He's doing stuff that other 7s, I don't even know if they're capable of doing. The way he pushes up, the way he breaks the line, it's
100%.
insane.
There's an argument to be made. He has the best running game of any 7 ever.
I agree.
Like, you could already say that, and he's still got years to go as a player.
Who would even come close to that? Running game 7 to him.
Like, maybe Cleary. Like, seriously, his running game is unbelievable.
Katoa and Warbrick. Katoa the whole year, Warbrick the back half of the year. They've had really, really good years, but man, they've benefited playing outside Hughes this year.
Oh, massively.
That left side, that right edge.
Been blessed. He's just sitting there every day going,
How good. I tell you what's scary with Storm is Warbrick is hitting crazy form.
Yeah.
Coates just got back. The before he got injured, he's one of the best wingers in the competition. So this guy rises up, also a Kiwi, now becomes one of the better wingers. Now they've got 2 big wingers that can cart the ball at their own end, plus score tries from anywhere.
I find it scary that last night there was 4 tries down the right in the first 20 minutes. Then Grant scored in the middle. Then there was another try through the middle. So they scored 6 tries. They hadn't even gone to Munster Howarth Coates yet.
It's crazy.
And Meaney's loving life too, bro.
Meaney has another one?
He's now this cracker centre. He's gone from utility to fullback, and now he looks at home in the centre.
He couldn't get a start at the friggin' Knights and the Bulldogs. It's incredible.
You know what else is interesting about that? And forgive me if I get this wrong, but I'll definitely refer back to my time there. The one shift I noticed was typically the Storm will rest their players like they did last week, and there could be another reason for this, but on this game, the last game, I thought it was interesting to see the shift that they've opted for, rested the players the game before, and even I think the commentators mentioned it, but this was obviously a mindset and a strategy to be like, no, this is a dress rehearsal for the finals. That last game, we're not going to be resting players.
Yep.
We're going to use it the week before and then come out and be like, I want to see finals football. And that's what we saw. But I thought it was pretty interesting.
I like it because sometimes you can lose momentum if you just have a rest before week 1 of finals. That intensity, you can get a bit blown away on the first 20 minutes of the finals game. Just quickly back to Craig Bellamy. Craig Bellamy has created, obviously with people around him, like Matt Tripp. It's Matt Tripp, isn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously, he has a huge reason for why this has all happened. But Craig Bellamy has created the greatest sporting franchise in Australian history. I don't care what anyone says.
Bar none.
imagine an AFL side went up to Brisbane and had the same dominance that the Storm have had over 20 years. Like, don't get me wrong, Brisbane, the Brisbane Lions, I'm pretty sure, like they've had success for sure, but over 20
Nothing
years,
like the Storm.
nothing like this. Like the Storm's dominance over 25 years has been nothing short of incredible. Like it has been
And
amazing.
bro, this is a comparison on any sport in the world. You translate Bellamy and the Storm into the NBA, the NFL, the English Premier League, anything, and this is one of the greatest stories ever across any sport.
100%. Like,
obviously, it's never going to get to that point because it's a rugby league in Australia. But mate, what he's done is fucking insane.
Could you get up the Brisbane Lions? A, when were the Brisbane Lions in the AFL? And B, like how many premierships have they won in the last 25 years? And like what they're, because like even with the Brisbane Lions, I think that they were a part of the AFL for quite a while anyway. Like the Storm,
a lot of those AFL teams were.
Well, they merged with Fitzroy.
Yeah, they merged as well. Yeah. So like you'd already like taking from something already existing. Melbourne went down there off the bat in a dominant AFL side, and just, as a matter of fact, it would be like it'd almost be, like it's incredible.
You know what's cool about that, bro? It's a big part of the club, the legacy, but what that did, again, another very underrated thing, the fact that 99 Storm team, like the way that set up this culture and the legacy of what is the Melbourne Storm, like, fuck, that's a crazy start to a venture, you know what I mean?
So the Brisbane Lions actually came in as the Brisbane Bears in 1987. Sweet. And then 10 years later, they would try, I think they were trying to get rid of teams out of Melbourne.
Yep.
So they merged with Fitzroy and they became the Brisbane Lions, and they've won 3 premierships.
And so in their whole time?
Yep, since 87.
Since 87?
Yeah.
Bro. Like.
And those 3 premierships were 3 premierships in a row.
Yep. Okay.
So I think they've been in grand finals and they've been close. Like I think they're pretty good at the moment.
Recently.
But yeah, it's not like the Storm.
I don't think there would be another franchise in history statistically that would compare to the Melbourne Storm in terms of the consistent success, not just the premierships.
I think their worst finish in like outside of 2000 and when they got the points taken, I think their worst finish is like 6th.
I think it's 7th. I think it was 2014, but I'll confirm.
Let's get their finishes up since Bellamy's been ahead, just to really drive home. And again, Brisbane Lions been in since 1987. Did you say
80? So the Bears 87, and then the Brisbane Lions 97.
Yeah, so the Bears 87. So that's basically when it started, because they merged to another club. Doesn't mean that it's just stopped existing, and they've only had 3 premierships. Like bellyache, I know they had it taken off them, but like, you're really looking at like 6, 7 premierships in 20
So
years.
when Bellamy took over, they were 10th the year before.
Yep.
So he took over 5th, made the semis, 6th. Then they won in 2006. Oh, sorry, they came first, but Broncos won.
Yep.
Then 2007, 2008, that's when they made all the grand finals. Got stripped off them. Then they made a prelim in 2011, won the comp in 12, made the semis. Yeah, it was 14th. You were right. They came 6th in 2014, and they haven't gotten lower since then. They've gone 4th, first, second, 5th, 3rd on the ladder.
I'll tell you what else can be. Tell me another team who has had success, premierships or not, and had that much turnover of players.
Oh, man.
You will never find, there is no way you'll find anything close to a successful team that's had the turnover.
Yeah.
Their best players.
Always get taken.
It's insane.
Outside of obviously their main 3 they had to keep, Israel Folau, Greg Inglis, like the big dogs just get taken. So it's just an incredible organisation. Like to think that their worst performance, their worst finished like place was 6. 6 since Bellamy took over. So like, think about that. Imagine you were supporting a club and in 25 years, roughly 25 years, the worst place they got was 6. Like I know the stripping or whatever, but like let's be real here. A lot of people have been caught cheating the cap. That's crazy.
And bro, after being there, like, look, I didn't achieve what I would have liked to personally there, but I'm so grateful that I got to experience that.
Yeah.
It's honestly like a dream come true. It was insane.
Amazing. Some other guys, Katoa, he's been fantastic. I thought Harry Grant was really good last night. Just an incredible organisation. They're so good to watch, and it's just a really good example of the most important people the most important parts of a rugby league club in the NRL is your head coach and a really big, smart backer. You look like everything else it matters, but the highest priority, in my opinion, is your head coach and a big, strong backer that knows how to run a good business. You look at Bellamy, and then you got obviously Tripp. You look at Politis, you got Robinson. You look at Penrith Panthers, they got Ivan Cleary in, and they also sorted out their back office so they were financially sweet. You look at the Bulldogs, they got a lot of people think Gus Gould is when the Bulldogs started to go back up again. And to a degree, yes, but it's actually the Laundry Group that was they got on board with the Bulldogs and had the sway to bring Gus Gould into the fray. Gus Gould and Serraldo at the Bulldogs, like it matters. And I think Bellyache is the perfect example of, I mean, you look at, for example, the Broncos. When Wayne Bennett's at the Broncos, it's one of the most successful clubs at the competition. When Wayne Bennett's not at the Broncos, obviously they struggle mostly. It's just, if you can land a good coach and a strong backer, it beats anything.
Context for the fans is removing the politics and having the business and the football department being independent, collaborative, but independent.
Yeah.
Like at the Melbourne Storm, the football department is the football department.
Yeah. There's no suits coming over.
It's not. It's different.
Yep.
You know?
And a big downfall in a lot of clubs is suits that don't know the game try to tell football managers how to run a football department. And they're just the smart moves they did. Like Paul Bunn was the recruitment officer at the Broncos through all their success, like, you know, early 2000s to the Premiership 2006, and then I think he went down to Melbourne in like 2008 or something like that, or around then. He's been there ever since, and like their recruitment since then has been literally second to none.
Insane.
Like finding diamonds in roughs everywhere.
I think they've just set up a pathways program, Centre of Excellence type situation in Victoria as well.
Oh wow!
Like in the last couple of years.
And also think of like what they've done for the game. Like imagine if we didn't have the Melbourne Storm in Victoria, like we would literally just the game would just be done there.
It wouldn't even exist.
Yeah, far out. Just incredible. What an amazing organisation to watch. I'd love to sit down with Bellyache and just hear like a genuinely an open conversation of what he thought, how it all come about. You know what I mean? Like
there'd be nothing better from him.
From
completely
him,
different perspective,
and also like no hold bars. No one's going to hear it. No one else is going to hear it, so he can say how he really feels. Man, it'd be just
when it's all said and done. That would be absolute gold.
Like his book, just be insane.
Yeah,
his book will be insane.
Yeah, like you said, no holds barred. Just give it to us.
Just tell us exactly like the harsh truths. There's going to put some people's offside. They're going to be upset.
What you're thinking.
So
there's a book right next to you. He's right, left, far left.
Here we go. Craig Bellamy. Oh, look how young he is. So this would have been, what year would have this been written?
I reckon.
Oh, this is quite a while ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. I remember reading it almost, I reckon I might have been in school.
What interests me the most, and what interests me the most about Bellyache is his post-Cam Smith era. Because I think a lot of people, the question was, like, did you just get lucky, air quotation marks, that Cam Smith, Billy Slater, and Cooper Cronk happen to be the greatest players of all time, pretty much? And he's proving clearly not. Like you've
done it again.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And that's what I think that was the nail in the coffin for me, where you may have Wayne Bennett as the greatest coach of all time, or some older ones. But you can't tell me that Craig Bellamy isn't the greatest player developer of all time. It's a fact, in my opinion.
By far. And if you know this, even if you know the story of Inglis is probably an outlier, but the Smiths, the Slaters, the Cronks, these weren't guys that were superstars where clubs were just knocking the door down. He developed them.
Smithy loved the Broncos and they brushed him. So that just shows you that he wasn't just a gun off the bat. He had to work hard for it. Jeez, this is so old. This would be like 10 years old, I reckon.
Yeah. I remember reading it quite a while ago.
Wow. Anyway, incredible stuff. Once it's all said and done, no holds barred would be an incredible story. Because he'd at the moment being in the industry still, it's not till he's like out of the industry for like 10 years or so where he really tells how it is.
Impact on the Storm.
Incredible stuff. All right, now don't forget Herbie Farnworth is our menu log hungriest player. Use code Herbie for free delivery. Minimum spend is $30. Massive thank you as always to Menulog. If you're going to get some food to the house, use Menulog, guys. Herbie, free delivery. Alrighty, Latrell will serve suspension next year after the NRL is basically informed that they didn't get, based on the information provided, the NRL is not satisfied that the player is fit and available to play in round 27. The NRL sought clarification and further information from the club concerning the players' fitness and availability to participate in the match, including a fitness assessment. Despite several requests, this was not provided in the time required to make a proper and informed assessment of the player's fitness to participate in the match this evening. The player will serve the one-match suspension when he is fit and available to play in 2025. Souths remain in talks with lawyers and the players' union over the situation, and it's understood they are ready to continue to fight on behalf of the star fullback. Listen, yesterday speaking to the boys, Tom and Eddie, I was very much kind of like, yeah, look, let the system work, and if the system says that he could have played and he's not, even though it seemed like they were intentionally trying to game the system, then allow him to serve it now. However, the fact that they've come out and they were given an opportunity to provide fitness tests and whatever, and they haven't yet, now I say, mate, you serve it next year. You serve it next year.
Are Rabbitohs playing in Vegas?
No, not next year. I just think, I thought it was silly as well of Chell to post on social media. I know he deleted it. I just thought it was really silly. After everything that had happened and the fines and,
kind of got to go head down.
You just got to go quiet. You just got to go quiet.
Yeah.
And so by reading this, despite several requests, this was not provided in the time required. That suggests to me that, surely, unless what they were requesting was completely unreasonable.
Well, I think what they were requesting was a 45-minute fitness test that the NRL were going to put on. And
so why couldn't you do that?
And South, I don't know the reasons why. I don't think South have come up with that yet. And that's why South is getting these lawyers and stuff involved saying, when has that ever had to happen before?
But just do it. If he's good to go, if he's genuinely good to go, it's 45 minutes of fitness. I mean, he should be doing it anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a bit bush league, to be honest.
If you could, you would.
That's what I mean. Just 40, mate, you go and do 45 minutes. It's you get to play next year then.
Yeah, it's kind of who gives a shit what it is. If that's on the line, if I can, I will.
Yeah, I don't understand why you wouldn't.
I just think it's crazy. And I'm a South fan, so obviously I'm being 100% biased. And I understand that South, I'm not dumb. South's obviously trying to pull the wool over. But that doesn't, I think that's irrelevant.
I get the chat. Maybe it hasn't been done before. Is it deemed unreasonable? But if you could, you would.
And Abdo come out and said, all injuries, he said this week, all injuries should be served when players are fit. And then we've gone through examples of the past where injured players have served their suspension, like Olam. And I know that Abdo would probably say, because he got injured, blah, blah, blah. But Ben Hornby said these comments a few weeks ago and everyone's taken those literally. So now Abdo's come out and said all players have to, so is Olam going to have to serve his suspension next year? Obviously not. I just think it's crazy, to be honest.
Yeah, I just, the problem is the Rabbitohs made it hard for themselves.
They did. They did.
I just think that if they were, the NRL gave the Rabbitohs an opportunity, just do a 45-minute fitness test and then you're good to go. And they didn't do it. So it's just fuck. The NRL have to save face too, where they don't look like they're getting manipulated as well.
100%.
I just think, I don't care either way. If he was playing Broncos round one, I don't care that if he was playing against my side that I support. But I think that the NRL have given them an opportunity to kind of everyone saves face. Yes, all right, he did his fitness, but see, he could play. And because the Rabbitohs have just gone, nah, he's not doing it. I just kind of go, well, fuck, how far do you want the NRL to kind of bend?
I understand. I completely understand. And again, I'm not stupid. I know what they're trying to do. It's just, I just think they're making it up as they go.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Even to your point, can be a meet me halfway scenario so everyone saves face. Probably would have got it done, but what it does allude to is probably that he actually couldn't.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It sounds like the NRL look, just do the bloody fitness test.
Play the game, meet us halfway.
Yeah, play the game so we can go, he actually did a fitness test. But for the Rabbitohs, again, maybe if it's true that that's happened.
There was no real, that's just what was said in the article. I'm sure more was going to come out.
What do you want the NRL to do? Go, we know you're fucking us, but we're just going to let it happen.
Yeah, they won't let that precedent be set.
And look, I get the idea of look at all of these other players that are serving suspensions while they're injured. However, it's not the same because the Rabbitohs stuffed up. You know what I mean? It's unique. It became unique when the Rabbitohs, for some bizarre reason, said that he's not coming back for the rest of the year.
and that's fine. But then Andrew Abdo this week said, he said what he said, which is all players. Like, if we're going to take everything literally, then why can't we take that literally as well?
All players.
He said all players have to serve suspensions when they're fit and ready to play. And he obviously meant in certain situations. But if we're taking that literally, then why if we're taking Hornby literally, then why aren't we taking Abdo literally?
I think because he's not actually doesn't actually mean that. Whereas I think the difference with the Rabbitohs is that Ben Hornby did actually mean that. Like, he actually was going on. We can all agree he was going on leave.
Yeah, no, that's a very reasonable comment.
Your point though, Matty, is probably going to have to be addressed now after.
It's going to have to be addressed.
He's going to have to address it.
Clarity has to be brought to this whole situation. I think the key difference is that everyone knows that Latrell was going away on leave. I think also the key was as well, they said leave. They didn't say, oh, we're just not going to let him play, but he'll still be training with us. I think the fact that the leave comment,
that's a hole.
That's a hole, because you're basically saying, like, he is no longer be under our restriction. Like, he's on leave. Like, when you're on leave, you're no longer you're obviously contracted still, but you're not under their power. Look, I can see both ways, but I just kind of, having dealt with things, I just go, look, when it looks like an olive branch has been put out, just do this 45-minute thing. We all save face then. There's footage on the news of you running, everything's good. And then that didn't get thing. I just go, far out. Like, that's a bit hard to swallow. It's
just frustrating as a South fan. This year's been a disaster, and we've shot ourselves in our own foot hundreds of times in our own way. Yeah. It's just annoying that it's being dragged into next season. I just want to put this behind us.
I think I will say, like, and sorry to put the boot in, like, Broncos have had a fucking way worse year, so I'm not fucking... But, like, it's more evidence of South being poorly run. I think the biggest lesson of all of this is South is being poorly run. Not being poorly run, but has had moments that definitely need to be improved.
Yeah.
And that's coming from a guy that Broncos need to improve as well. So I'm not a fucking clean skin on that. But that sucks. Burgess era comes to a close tonight. Tommy Burgess will play his final game for the Rabbitohs. 15 years. Sam joined the club September 2009. George, 2011. Luke joined a few months later after that, while Tom was on the last to join. He signed a 1-year deal on a minimum wage. Tom will finish as the second most capped Rabbitoh in the history of the club.
That's insane, I reckon.
Insane. And it's also like a really good story about, like, obviously Sam Burgess will be remembered, iconic. However, at the end of the day, the battler, Tom Burgess, and, I'm not sure whether he would say, but maybe he was the least naturally gifted player. Maybe, I don't know. It's a good story for young fellas that you might have a brother or a friend that's the superstar. Doesn't mean you can't do great things yourself.
For sure.
His name's etched in as the second most capped
I love
player.
That.
He also has a grand final under his belt.
Yep.
He's also got many prelims, like 2 grand finals under his belt.
2 grand finals,
So he's got a premiership, 2 grand finals. Like, that's a bloody good career.
And you're right. Like, he wasn't just in Sam's shadow. He was in George's shadow for so many years too. It's just this last, 5 or 6 years, he's really emerged as a leader of the team. He's had a great career, Tommy Burgess.
Story.
Yeah, and like a lot of people can get daunted by the fact, my best mate, he's the gun, or my brother, he's the gun. But it's like, you can etch your own story. You don't have to be... Everyone's got their own strengths, and clearly Tom's strength was his longevity.
Yeah. Like,
his longevity, he's the second most capped... Like, the oldest club... the second eldest club in rugby league. And you're the second most capped player. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, especially when your brothers, they have so many good qualities, but geez, they were not durable.
No, they're nowhere near as durable as you are. So it's a bloody good career. The Spoon Bowl tonight. Head to Sportsbet Instagram page to get yourself in the mood for Spoon Bowl. That's right. The great Blocker has done a hype video for Spoon Bowl. According to Random Stat Guy, this will be the 8th Spoon Bowl. The most recent was Panthers v Knights 2015, with Panthers winning 30-12. The earliest was 1912, the Annandale, when Annandale defeated West 15-6. How will tonight go?
It's low-key hyped up the game.
It is super hyped. Actually, I actually read that KO subscriptions have gone up because it's the only way you can watch it.
No way.
Yeah. So people are just like, fuck yeah. I wish we had more time. I've just been so busy setting up other stuff that we've got coming, which is the stuff I've been teasing for a while. I wish we had time to like do a live show or something on the Spoon Bowl. It would have been so funny. Would have been so funny.
Hey, it's a good way to make the best out of a bad situation.
Yeah, so true. Like, put it this way. Tonight, South are playing Roosters. No one cares. No one cares.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly didn't even know.
Yeah.
Until I saw Burgess was playing tonight. I was like, oh, shit, that's tonight. I wonder whether the Spoon Bowl will be more highly rated than...
Yeah.
Could you imagine
I think
it
it will.
outrates? You reckon?
Yeah. Because
Because there's nothing to play for Roosters Rabbitohs.
That's what I mean. Comical or
weird
not,
game.
like it's a big deal.
What a weird game. Isn't it weird how like Tigers, because they've had 2 wins, there's almost a good feeling around the Tigers. Like
I know, right?
they're kind of, they might get their 3rd spoon.
Perspectives like that.
Oh my god. Oh man. It's tough. Like to be a Tigers fan. What would you rather? Tigers fan? What do you reckon the hardest fan base would be?
Well, we were discussing back in the green room.
Would you rather be a Tigers fan or a Warriors fan? They're not to suggest being a Warriors fan is tough, but we were just talking about premierships. Like Tigers have actually won a premiership, the Warriors haven't won one. Or would you rather be an Eels fan? And Eels have been all those prelim recently.
Out of all three, actually, Eels have got a lot of spoons, don't they?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
Because Warriors, this year was bad. Last year they made a prelim, but they haven't made that many finals. They made finals in 18, I think.
So they've made 2 grand finals in their existence.
Oh, yes, yep.
2002, I think,
2002,
and 2011.
A spark around the Warriors. I mean, I'll be honest. Sorry to throw shade, but I just don't see being a Tigers fan.
Because the argument was like, would you trade one premiership? Because that's what you're trading. You're basically going, Tigers got the premiership 2005, or would you rather be like an Eels or a Warriors fan base who actually haven't won a premiership in a very long time for the Eels and never for Warriors, but they've been relatively like prelim, blah.
Like it's easy. Like my first initial thought is I'll take the premiership, but 20 years is such a long time to be at the bottom of the table.
I honestly reckon Warriors and Eels fans are happier than Tigers fans.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Like I reckon that they'd probably go, you know what, 20 years is ages ago, and I don't want to have to win 3 spoons in a row. It's a tough
Such a
one,
good
though.
question, yeah. I tell you what, it'd be tough. St Kilda in the AFL. They've been around for 150 years and they've won 1 premiership.
Oh, bro.
I think
They are
someone
not
left a
great
comment.
odds to be a fan. I think about optimism. I like, what's your level of optimism as a fan? Warriors, I'm like, there's just this hope and there's just this always like, well, what if the Warriors do this? Eels, there's always optimism. They've had some sort of short-term success. They don't have the worst roster, but my optimism levels are very low as a Tigers fan.
Yeah.
Right now,
Someone
unfortunately.
messaged me Carlton. I think Carlton's last thing was 95.
Yeah, 1995.
Premiership, and they're like a founding club of the AFL. Imagine
Big
that.
club.
I think just with St Kilda as well, I'm pretty sure that they made a grand final in 2010.
Yeah,
and
had
they
to do the
drew.
double. Yes.
They got so close, and then they had to
Yes,
replay it, and then
I remember
they lost.
watching that.
Oh no!
Isn't that crazy how they do that, bro?
125 years, did you say?
150 years they've been.
They've been a club for 150 years, and that's in Melbourne, correct?
Yeah.
Are they a big?
Yeah.
They're a big club.
Yeah, they're a big club.
Yeah, they're a famous club.
Isn't that wild how you can draw a grand final and
have
you
to replay.
it? I remember seeing that going, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Coming back and playing the grand final, great for the AFL.
Oh, imagine the extra money they would have made that
You're
year.
stoked. You're praying that this ends up a draw.
Wow.
But
I'd love to know what's the longest drought in Australian sport of a professional team. That would be good because that's got to be up to 150 years.
Yeah, one comp in 1966.
150 year drought.
Well, they won the comp in
Well,
1966.
Oh no! One
got
comp,
one.
1966. So what are you look? You're looking at about 80 years. Holy shit!
Yes.
You got Carlton, which is
60-year
like
drought.
Carlton's a 30-year drought.
Carlton's 30.
St
Yeah.
Kilda 60-year drought.
St Kilda 60.
Eels is a 50-year drought.
80s?
Wow, North Sydney Bears apparently. I know they're not here anymore, but 1922 to 1999. That's 72. Wow,
Holy
when the Swans won in 2005, they broke a 72-year drought, and they weren't even the Swans then. They were South Melbourne or something.
No way.
Oh my
There's some
God.
droughts in there. Like whenever you're a Tigers fan, you think you're doing it tough, or a Titans fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where you've got to, the rabbit hole. This is what the rabbit hole
Go
you've
look
gotta
at
down
St Kilda and
to
just
bring
go,
yourself back,
oh, far
You gotta
out.
find some comparisons.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's your way out.
Holy shit. Imagine being a fan of that. Like, how?
We've got to do a would you rather.
Yeah, would you rather?
Yeah.
Well, basically, the argument would be is how many years of suffering there's a premiership buyer?
20. Mate, yeah, well, 20?
I reckon 10.
10? Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
Because if you're a Tigers fan, if you had won a comp in 2015, you'd probably be copping this. You'd be like, yeah, I'm all good.
would,
Like,
yeah.
I won a Premier in
Yeah.
2015. Like Cowboys, even though they've been kind of successful, but they haven't won a comp since then. But Cowboys, they're still sweet. Like
There's
they're
only so many Benji highlights that can get you through the last 20 years, bro. Far out. I'd love to know the team. So if we go this category of like top 10 droughts, what's the team that has barely reached like final series or just
Yeah.
giving you a glimmer of hope? Whoever that team is.
they've stayed in professional league but done nothing. That would suck. Holy, that, you know what? Matter of fact, let's go further than that. Can you leave us a comment of like the biggest droughts in sports history in the world? What's the longest drought in like? Actually,
Well,
you know
there's got
what?
to be a club that's never won.
There's got to be a club.
Yeah.
Actually, Matty, we'll do that as one of the pub ammo things.
Yeah, sweet.
The longest droughts. How do you be like? Surely, like I feel like
And I want to hear from an OG fan of that club.
Because I'm like I say, I'm Broncos till I die. But if Broncos didn't do anything for 100 years, and I mean like didn't make any prelims, didn't make a grand
Down the
final,
Dolphins.
how do you hang on to that? Like I get numb after half a season of poor performances. Jeez.
Seriously,
The boys
yeah.
were in the grand final last year and you're sitting there, you know.
Yeah, Devo. Yeah. What about the Rabbitohs? Because you would have been when they got kicked out.
So South when they won their first first grand final in 43 years. When I was in, I reckon that's not the bad bit because I wasn't even alive for half of that.
Yeah.
The worst was in my schooling career, we made our first finals when I was in high school.
Wow.
When I
What
was
was
in
that
year
like
seven.
as a fan?
Oh, it was the greatest day of my life.
No, sorry. Like supporting a team that didn't like just got pumped every week.
It was, I don't know, because I was born into it, so it was
used to it.
I was used to it, and it wasn't like I couldn't cop that now.
Yeah.
I can't cop this year,
Yeah.
but we were disgraceful back then. And in school, like I think my whole high school, Blues never won Origin, not once, and South made the finals once. It was
So you're
tough.
saving grace. South's getting kicked out of the comp and coming back in. That's as good as a grand final, isn't it?
Oh, that's
Yeah,
that's
true.
even
That's
bigger than a grand final
moment.
this year,
That'll
isn't
give
it?
you 5 years.
Holy. I remember early 2000s or like mid 2000s, like 2008, 7 or whatever. Rabbitohs were really the only team that you would play and be like, this is like we can take the piss here and we'll be sweet.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was just they just weren't. They were New South Wales, like they had good
Yeah.
players, but just for some reason they just weren't on the level of NRL. Everyone else though was always pretty tough. But that was a bit of a rabbit hole, the spoon bowl.
Yeah.
A battle for 8. I'm so torn here because I want to see the great KP Frashman kill it in final series, but I want the Dolphins to make the finals.
Yeah, so do I.
I think I'm Dolphins.
I think I'm Dolphins
Yeah.
too. I think
Yeah,
I'm
I'm on the
Dolphins
Finn
too.
train.
Because the second year of existence
Yeah.
into a grand final and into a final series. Like what I say this all the time, so I'm sorry that I'm repeating myself, but I don't think people realize how good of a club is set up at Dolphins. They got already this crazy system from like under sixes all the way through to first grade set up. They've got history. They're a well-oiled machine. Like I've said it before, but they used to be a Queensland Cup side with no affiliation to an NRL club that would literally beat the Broncos reserve grade
Yep.
side. Like think about how good of a club you've got to be to have guys that aren't affiliated with NRL beating not just like a team that has a few first graders in it, literally the Broncos reserve grade side like the Clydesdales and that, and North Devils. So North Devils used to be Storm's reserve grade side, and obviously the Clydesdales were Broncos. The Redcliffe Dolphins would literally win the comp sometimes.
Well, I don't think that could happen. I'd love to hear an example of any other sport. Most times when a team comes in, we spoke about a few of the AFL examples, but like the Titans, for example, these were teams that were just made up. For a team to have such a strong club and foundations, and then they're actually put in the NRL, that's wild.
Because like the thing with the Dolphins as well is like you could make an argument like Broncos obviously have huge like junior catchment and all that kind of stuff, but they actually don't have a specific club from under sixes through to the Dolphins that you can go all the way to the top. The Dolphins, maybe there are like you've always got Penrith. Can you play from like actual Penrith for under sixes? Maybe not even Penrith.
I don't know, but I don't think so.
So like I think like you look at the Dolphins and they might be the only club in the competition
Crazy.
I
that
would
you
think
can
they
be
would be,
wearing
yeah.
a Redcliffe Dolphins shirt from sixes to the
What's
first
the
grade.
Dolphins story, bro? Because they got the Cracker playing field. They've got the
Huge leagues club.
Yeah.
Heaps of cash.
Yeah.
They are so cashed up. It's
Yeah.
like, I think they're the second richest club in the competition.
What's the backing and story around that?
Well, just smart. Leagues Club obviously earned heaps of money in Leagues Club,
yeah.
and then obviously invested in real estate around it. However, like the thing, obviously, you can use, if you're a rich club, it's good for facilities. However, I've always felt like when I came through with the Broncos, our facilities weren't that great. I actually think like rough facilities sometimes are better because it just makes you tougher, whatever. But I think people don't realize is that you may be a rich club, but there's actually a salary cap on staff. Like you actually can't.
Yeah.
You actually.
I don't know if everyone.
No one knows that. No one knows that. It's been around for quite a while.
Footy cap, yeah.
There's a footy cap. So people think, oh, you know, the Roosters, they're stacked. They've got so much cash, but they can't spend any more on their footy department than anyone else. And so it's like really that being rich, the real benefit is just facilities. However, like every club kind of has access to the same facilities. The only difference would be like, I don't know, you might have an extra one of those machines that take your weight off or something like that. Like, but most teams have the same, like, not necessarily like, for example, the Broncos facilities might look nicer and like, you know, looks all good or whatever, but they actually don't have anything more than most other sides in regards to like resources because there's a cap on your footy department. I think people just think there's a salary cap. But there isn't. And also, I was reading an article the other day, even third-party agreements have reduced drastically because I think the NRL are real stringent on it now. Obviously, there was a period there where it was just Wild West. I think they've reduced massively.
I think it's a credit to Queensland Rugby League as well. I don't have heaps of context around those associations, but I know there's far less teams that have the backing, the leagues clubs, the foundations in New South Wales. If you think about the comparison of like New South Wales Cup teams, we don't have that. Queensland have done that really well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Dolphins, like, I'm telling you right now, as long as the coach, it all boils down to making sure you have the bloody good coach. And losing Wayne Bennett's is a huge loss. But let's just say the coach is good and it's Christian Wolf coming forward. They are set up for success and quickly. I think you'll be surprised. As long as Christian Wolf's a good coach, I think you'll be surprised how quickly they are a juggernaut in the NRL, and also how quickly. Now they may not have the fan base of the Broncos. That's going to take a while to build up, but how quickly they'll be battling with the Broncos as big dogs in the NRL.
Such a cool story.
Because they just like think about the power of being a junior with the jersey from under sixes. How much that's instilled in their young guns, and they have heaps of Origin players and stuff like that have come from Redcliffe.
How fucking cool is that now you think about that actually?
All the way through.
Like when we play for, you know, I played for the Roosters, right? And but the Roosters have all these different clubs. I played for 10 clubs.
Yeah.
But to play for the Roosters from under sixes, like how cool is that?
Well, it's really the first example of the English Premier League. And what I mean by that is that the English Premier League, like if you're Manchester United, you've got squads from like 8 years old. Like you have elite squads literally from 8 years old. So think about the culture you can instill from a toddler. Like not a toddler, sorry.
But even that's different too, isn't it? Because they're like, you know, if you go to Manchester United as an 8-year-old, like it's this crazy recruitment and you're in this exclusive team. But like we're talking about a junior rugby league club that is literally pathway to a first grade club. But I don't know if that's ever been done.
But that's what's a scary thing for the Dolphins and how strong they could be is that what's going to happen now is like any gun player around that area is going to go, I'm going to play for Redcliffe
100%.
Growing up. So you'll have people driving an hour to go play for Redcliffe because they want to get in early.
Pathway systems.
Exactly.
Unreal.
So the pathway system and the money they can spend on that, because that's not under the cap. The pathway system's not under the cap. And so you're basically going to have this elite squads all the way through the grades. And what's crazy as well is they already were elite.
They're set up for the future, aren't they?
Crazy. They were already elite. That's the thing is that they already used to win a lot of the junior competition. Now, if you're a parent, you're almost stupid to not send your kid there. Crazy facilities, a direct pathway to NRL, and also the best coaching you can probably get because it's already been set up.
The only thing I can think of, it kind of reminds me of like a really good school. I don't know if you had those in Queensland, but you know, the really good, I was a boarder, but those schools start like they can start in the junior school, and you go from kindergarten all the way up to year 12. Like that's kind of the only reflection. But you're in that system the whole time.
The whole time.
And there's a genuine development pathway for you to end up as an NRL player in the one club.
Like think about the power of being able to get a kid when he's 12 years old to teach him the right stuff for when he hits first grade.
Yeah, not you're in one of their feeder clubs and then you come into the system. You're there from day dot.
You can see, you know, what's his family life like,
That's
like
underrated.
who he's, what he or she is like you can, the things you can instill them in from a footy perspective of like the tough stuff, the 1%ers, and you can see a kid grow up. Like that's a power.
Well, we might see, I think the recruitment system generally let's say it's Harold Matts, right? We might see Redcliffe making investments at like a really young age and setting up a pathway system from the 8s, 9s, 10s, 11s, 12s.
I reckon they will. I reckon it'll be like the English Premier League with the soccer teams. And also, like, think about the even bigger benefit of, let's say you got 3 guns that have played together from under 12s all the way to first grade.
A little Penrith story.
What made the Queensland dynasty so great? It was because Cam Smith, Billy Sater and Cooper Cronk and Thurston to a degree had grown up playing together. They got rep after rep after rep together. It's the
Penrith boys story as well.
The same thing with the Penrith thing. So like imagine if you've got these 3 guys, like, you know, like even 4 guys, like a front rower, a hooker, a 7 and a fullback, and they've been playing with each other since under 12s. Like, I mean, you're looking at Penrith. That's what happened at Penrith. Now, granted, the salary cap eventually gets rid of that, and that's what the salary cap was designed to take away the advantages of having, you know, a lot of juniors. But there's one. Think about how close the Penrith boys are,
cool, bro.
And they didn't even grow up with the Penrith jersey from under 6s. Imagine how close they would have been if they had the Penrith jersey from under 6s, and how much the club would mean to them. Like I still have a very strong and emotional connection to my junior soccer club, which was Mudgebar. Like there's something strong and connect. Like it's something that no matter how old you get, it's just in you because you grew up with it.
And remember this moment in this story. I can't wait for in 10 years when there's that exact example that's come out of the Redcliffe Dolphins.
Be crazy. Be crazy. And they managed to get Katoa to the club early to be the next superstar and obviously help develop the next range. So yeah, I think the Redcliffe Dolphins. The Dolphins. You're not allowed to call them Redcliffe. It's funny in the Instagram post of Broncos, even though they fucking pounded us, they called them the Redcliffe Dolphins. I like
that.
It's funny. I love when social medias go back at each other.
100%.
But best.
As long as it's just to each other. When it's some like person that works for a club having digs at players and that, I'm like,
yeah,
bro, like come on,
weird.
don't be silly. Alrighty, let's get into it, shall we? We got the Tigers versus the Eels. Who you going?
I reckon Para probably.
Yeah,
I'm going Para.
Yep.
Rabbitohs, Roosters. St. George Dragons, Illawarra Dragons versus Raiders.
I reckon I'm going to tip the upset in most of these other games. Some of these prices are crazy. I reckon Raiders will win this.
Yeah, I'm going Raiders.
Okay, Doggies, Cowboys.
I reckon Cowboys because
I think the Cowboys will get it.
Bounce back.
Yeah,
Penny Panthers, Titans.
Panthers for sure.
Sea Eagles, Sharks.
I reckon Sharks. Nicho Hynes.
I'm going
Sharks. Big day.
Yeah, I'm going Sharks.
Man, I cannot believe look, I get it. It's rugby league, so I'm being an idiot. Of course, I should believe it. But like people already talking about Nicho Hynes, is he going to be able to handle finals footy?
He's just come back.
He's just come back, but like there are so many other stories.
Yeah.
That are bigger than the Sharks heading into finals footy with Nicho Hynes. Like there's so many other players that have been playing for more this season that you could talk about in regards to handling final series, and yet like they choose Nicho Hynes to try and have a go.
I really find it quite unfortunate that he seems to always be consumed by these kind of pressure-driven headlines. It sucks, man.
It's his 3rd year as Nicho Hynes' record is this. He arrived at the Sharks as a utility Storm player, wins his Dally M at 7. He has led them to 2nd from like a season. His first season, they came 2nd. Then I think the Sharks came 5th last year, 5th or 6th, 5th. And now they're in the top 4. They're 4th at the moment.
They're 4th.
Like
it's going to be a miracle if they drop out.
Like that is an outstanding record. Like if you want to focus on the finals footy, like sure. You're basically focusing on So 2 games in the first year and 1 game the second year?
Yeah.
So you've got 3 games. So everyone wants to judge Hynes on 3 games.
Which is
I hate
crazy.
that he's been tagged with this narrative. Even the Origin stuff,
Yeah.
it's kind of the same vibe. Just
And
hate
yet-
it.
It's crazy. Like I say this a lot. That Sharks-Cowboys game, he was the second best player on
He
the field.
couldn't do any more.
He killed it.
And again, the Sharks versus Roosters game,
Yeah.
he couldn't have done any more. There were blokes in his side dropping the ball over the line.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I just don't understand. So you want to judge Hynes on 3 finals games, and I'm sure someone immediately be like, oh yeah, what about Origin? Okay, the first Origin come on at centre. Cleary missed the tackle before Hynes missed the tackle, for one. And the second one, Hynes, yes, okay, was his kicking game not great? Yes, for sure. There are plenty of players that have had poor first games starting. You know who had a really poor first game? Crichton. Like, he came back in. Now he is a sure thing.
Yep.
There are plenty. I think Justin Hodges' debut was poor.
Yeah.
I
We had a man sent off the whole game.
Yeah.
And it was his centre.
So
and it was,
unfortunate.
and he
his
had to
little
move out there to
Origin
defend
experience.
there.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not sitting here saying that Hynes is this gun finals player or whatever. However, what I'm saying is I just feel like he's harshly judged.
Yeah, so do I.
It's
And it's
unfair.
it's shit.
He's had 3 finals games. In 2 of them, at the very least, he was played extremely well. And his resume outside of that is literally leading a team to essentially a top 4. And also, before he came, they came, I think, 9th or 10th the year before.
And I feel like
They
it
missed.
feels like he's been tagged with it. I don't know if you can shake it either.
Yeah, I mean, winning a finals game
Yeah,
would
that'll
shake
do
it.
it.
But now he has this tag of can't win pressure games. He's won heaps of pressure games for the Sharkies. I just don't get it. Because he didn't kick a goal from the sideline when he came back from Origin. Oh, he can't handle pressure. It's from the sideline. It's fucking tough. There's so many guns that would have missed it. I mean, what was it just recently? Sam Walker? The Roosters versus the Raiders. Kiri missed a kick from the sideline against the Raiders to lock it up after the. So, yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I like Nicho. He's such a good thing for the game, and I just don't understand why. I get it because he's such a big name. He's a superstar.
Yeah.
But I just kind of feel like it's that kind of typical cycle of a player in his first couple of years, everyone loves him, and then it gets to a point where it makes other people angry that everyone loves him, and so they start hating on him. And then if certain things don't go right, then immediately it's a reason to pile on. It's what's crazy? It started to happen a little bit with Critter this year. Towards the back end, I saw some comments starting to get negative. All you do is suck Critter off. All you do is wrap him up. And it's just because he's good. He's a bloody good player. And it's rugby league. We're getting compliments. I promise you, the same thing will happen to the Dogs. If the Dogs go mad next year, I bet you that they'll become the easy target of everyone. At Penrith Panthers, what happened? First 2 years, everyone loved them. And then after that, it was too arrogant, swagger. The Storm, everyone loved him initially, and then everyone hated him.
Doing well, yeah.
It's just the same thing each time. But I like Nicho Hynes. I think he's an absolute gun.
Yeah, he's a champion
and I
bloke
think
too.
that he's a legend of a bloke. And look, you don't have to rate him. You don't have to. Everyone's got an opinion on their own. But some of the attacks are just so over the top. It frustrates me. It really does. And I also don't think put a line through his Origin career either. I think that you just never know. You never know what could happen. What if he rolls into this final series and kills it? Then all of a sudden the tag of he can't win finals games is gone. Then what's the? But in saying that, I think Mitchell Moses. What's funny as well? Mitchell Moses' first game,
Yep.
he got fucking peppered for New
He's
South
all, mate.
Wales
Yeah.
because
100%.
Queensland won.
Yeah.
And I remember
And he was good.
and I remember at the time thinking, am I watching the same game as him? I thought he was bloody good in his debut, and he also had a broken back or some shit. But guess what? He comes back, kills it.
Kills
So everyone can bounce back. And I can't wait to see Nicho in this final series. I reckon the Sharks are going to get a win.
Same.
I reckon they are. I want them to so badly because I really rate what Fitzy's done at the Sharkies. I think it's pretty incredible. Think about the clubs that have fallen out of the 8 over the last few years, and he's managed to stay in the 8 with that roster. That roster's it's good.
Well, the last 3 grand final teams outside of Penrith aren't playing finals footy this year.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
Fitzy is just boom, 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 3 years in a row. So yeah, I'm excited for this. I think they're building really nicely. Adam Blake arriving.
Love
I
that.
can't wait.
They're going to be good next year.
I can't wait. Alrighty, that is us done and doosted. Make sure to grab a case of bloke beer. The beer for blokes that turn up for family, mates, and good times. Get into your local Grouse Hill air locker. Also, don't forget, guys, something big is coming. Give us a follow on Sportsbet feed. Use Herbie for free delivery. Minimum delivery order is $30. And as usual, we'll go fuck ourselves. Thank you.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.